All right, we're back, Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports, and we're joined by, again, the head coach at Texas State, Jake Spavital, joins us on 365 Sports YouTube as well. Coach, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. We had you on a year ago. You opened the year with Baylor and played them dead to rights in that game, and then eventually, of course, the season went on. This is your fourth year at Texas State. What are your thoughts now as you're wrapping up your spring?
I think this is for the first group where we finally got it, all the pieces kind of working together. I think the depth of our team is finally where I want it to be. We've had some kind of unfortunate injuries and some COVID issues over the past couple of years, like a lot of teams have. But, I've got a lot of experience coming back because I had to play a lot of different bodies. But, it's been kind of a unique time, as we all know, on how you recruit and how you just kind of develop these players, and I'm feeling pretty good about this team on just terms of where the culture's going and where the X's and O's sides of it is going, and just especially from a recruiting side. So very excited for this year, especially after coming through a pretty solid spring football with 0 injuries. So I'm always pleased with that.
Well, Coach, one of the things you did was lean. I mean, you leaned as hard into the portal as anybody has to build your roster. How did that change your focus on building through the portal and not necessarily going high school kids, especially given where you felt your team was at that moment and that you wanted maybe some more veteran guys as opposed to high school guys?
Yeah, that was the deal. Like in 2019, I could only bring in 7 guys. And we lost around 45 guys just due to seniors and everything. So we knew we had to get some experience in here. And, we sat down as a staff. We kind of talked it through. We knew that the transfer portal was going to be an issue. I sit on all the NCAA committees as well about, where the direction of recruiting is going. And I thought our staff handled it very well in terms of building our roster. And, kind of what we did a year ago, a lot of the group of 5, really the entire group of 5 is doing what we did a year ago with the transfer portal. But we don't have to develop, we don't have to go into the transfer portal as hard this year because we didn't have very much attrition. We didn't have very many people leave our program. So, we've been pretty calculated with, all right, we need some developmental guys here. We need to bring in some high school kids in this position. We need to get a portal guy right here. And the thing is, too, the portal deadline is May 1st, so there still could be a lot of movement with a lot of people's rosters. So we're aware of that, and we just got to make sure we're talking it through and working together as a staff and making sure that we're building the roster the correct way with a lot of depth and spreading the classes out as best as we possibly can.
What's it like sitting on those recruiting committees these days?
Oh man, I'm telling you, the fascinating ones is when it gets kind of to the Power 5 and the name, image, likeness deals. That's when the heated arguments occur.
Yeah.
The group of 5 is kind of still in that kind of that gray area where there's some schools going into the name, image, likeness deals and hitting the portal hard. Some don't have to, but then there's also ones that don't believe in the philosophies of that. And you just kind of sit there and you listen and you learn from everybody's mistakes and you try to do what's right for your university. The thing that I have kind of figured out is that every single university has different circumstances.
Right.
Everybody's different. The way you recruit, the geographical areas, the needs at that time, maybe a coaching change has occurred or whatever has happened. So, you sit there and you listen to their side of the argument or their side of their story, and you're like, that's exactly what I'd probably done if I was at Penn State or if I was at UNLV. So it's kind of interesting listening to everybody else's perspective when it comes to all the ever-changing climate of college football right now.
So you guys have the spring game in the books as of a few days ago. Now that you come out of it, and I guess you start to kind of analyze everything that y'all did and start to look forward, what were kind of your prevailing thoughts on where you stand as a football team right now, perhaps your biggest strength and where you need to kind of keep chipping away?
Yeah, I think we got to keep chipping away across the board. I still think we're developing this program and building this program, but I've been impressed with the offensive line throughout spring football. I think our receiver core, we've got everybody coming back, and we've added a couple of additions to that. That's the thing. From an offensive standpoint, I feel like we've got a ton of experience. The defensive side, we're starting to add more numbers. We're starting to add just more defensive backs and more, D linemen. We still need a lot more D linemen. We still need a lot more defensive backs, but we're better than what we were last year. But overall, I think that offensive line has been the most impressive to me because we finally got depth. Now, a lot of that has to do with COVID and unfortunate injuries because I have nine offensive linemen that have played games for me and started games for me, and then I brought in 2 transfers as well that have started over 20 plus games. So there's just a lot of depth there, and if you do get an injuries, which they do occur, we have some moving parts, and I feel comfortable with that offensive front.
Your third game this year is at Baylor. You opened up with them a year ago. When you played them that night down in San Marcos, did you see what they could become and who they did become at the end of the year?
I thought they were really good. I was sitting there talking like our kids were pretty focused on how well of a program and how well coached they are and the depth that they had. I thought that defense that we went up against, they were just salty across the board. We threw that pick six on the second drive of the game, and I told them, I'm like, listen, they're athletic, man. And Petrie came off the edge and was very disruptive. And the way they're coached with Ron Roberts and Dave Aranda, I'm telling you, I've got a ton of respect for that defensive side. But just also the addition with how they were running their offense last year. It's very efficient. They complement each other very well. We knew it was going to be a challenge. I knew there was no surprise to me that they went to the Sugar Bowl. And I think what Coach Aranda's done, I've been around him for a long time, and a lot of our defensive philosophy comes from that tree. And it's just been fun to kind of watch them kind of develop it and turn Baylor into a pretty prominent place. After Coach Rule had it at such a high level, and then obviously Coach Aranda just took off with it as well.
How have you seen obviously the defense has changed a lot across the board when you go to something like a 3-3-5 stack, like they run it at West Virginia, and how they kind of did that to combat the spread up wide open offenses that nobody was stopping. You've run a lot of those, and then now the offense is responding to defenses that were actually stopping them that for a few years weren't at all.
Yeah, there's so much interesting philosophy with defensive play, and I've been fortunate to call plays in the Big 12 and the SEC and the Pac-12 and even here in the Sun Belt, and they're all different philosophies, and like at West Virginia when I was there, we had to get to the 3-3-5 because we didn't have the greatest defensive line at times, and we needed to kind of just keep everything in front. And what you learn with that 3-3-5 stuff, like your quarterbacks have to be very efficient. You got to run the ball. You can't get greedy with your throws. But what I've seen with Coach Aranda and Coach Roberts is that you've got a very unique kind of funnel system where they can eliminate receivers and they can add an extra half into the box and play a 4-down front, which is very fun to watch. And especially they got those big defensive linemen. They had some really good pass rushers as well. So they're double teamed in all your pass game and then able to really be efficient in stopping the run and playing a 2 high shell. So it's probably one of the most unique systems that I've seen is the defensive scheme at Baylor. And I also going up against Ron Roberts at Louisiana Lafayette. But I'm telling you, that's probably the trend now of college football is what's going on at Baylor, because you kind of get a mix of that kind of 3-3-5, the drop 8, keep everything in front, and also the 4-down kind of SEC type of plays where you can play man free or you can kind of play a match coverage, which everybody's going to be covered and still get added hats into the run fit.
Coach, I know that game's been a while away now, but just kind of looking back on that, what was kind of going through your head there late in that game as you guys were right there? I mean, it was there. You had it within reach, and obviously just couldn't quite finish it, but to be at home, to have the crowd, start to believe that you guys were going to potentially win this game, just reflecting on that, how close do you feel you were, and what was that kind of like?
Yeah, you kind of just go, you kind of live in the moment, and, you start off the game, and there was a lot of ups and downs for us early in the game, and but we responded, which I was very proud of them that they responded. I thought the defense played well, and I thought the offense had their moments where they responded, but at the end of the day, I thought that defense for Baylor was so good, and we turned the ball over. We had 3 interceptions in that game, and, I never felt like we had the shot to win it, we were close, but we still were about 2 possessions away all the time.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those. I was proud of the fight of our kids, because that's a quality opponent. Obviously, their record tells us the season that they had. So, But like it was a good atmosphere. It's great for our university, especially hosting a team like Baylor and San Marcos. It really kind of rejuvenated the crowd and just and kind of our community. And I was pretty fired up for our university, at least to compete against a quality opponent, in our backyard.
You're a coach's son. You did play college football, but you're a coach's son with your dad at Broken Arrow. Is that just in your blood, coaching?
Yeah, it is. It started, my grandfather was the one that started it. He was, he was the backfield coach for like Joe Namath with the New York Jets and was the 49ers offensive coordinator, but he was the head coach of a couple Canadian Football League teams, and he was the general manager of the Chicago Fire in the World League and the Michigan Panthers in the USFL. So it started with him, and my dad kind of followed him around and ended up becoming a high school coach because he was moving his family around, me and my brother. My brother's my defensive coordinator, and they told me to get into to get a business degree, and I almost had a finance degree, and then Gus Malzahn called me and asked me if I wanted to be a GA, and my parents thought they got both their boys out of the coaching profession, but I ended up not even walking. I took the job, and I became a football coach. So, they tried to not have me be a football coach, but here I am right now at Texas State.
And then you brought your brother with you.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are rebels.
Oh, you would have loved. You would love our practices because he's calling the defensive plays and I'm calling the offensive plays. So every single practice almost ends in a fist fight. So it just relives the early moments of my life where my brother was always just getting after me and beating me up and everything. So now it's just like I just try to return the favor by calling better offensive plays at times.
All right, one of the things I ask now is with all of what's going on with conferences changing, expansion, attrition, whatever, how much do you have to sometimes reflect back on the new conference, who's joining, when they're joining, who's still left, who's leaving, and do you sometimes not even know who's in your own conference anymore?
Yeah, like the other thing too is the transfer portal this year has been pretty crazy for a lot of teams, and I was sitting there doing a preseason scouting report on Nevada. We opened up with Nevada, and it literally is I think they lost like 45 players. I don't even know who's on their roster. It's just like, so you're dealing with roster, and then you're also dealing with new coaches, and then you're also dealing with new teams, and fortunately, the Sun Belt is a pretty solid conference, and it's a very competitive league, and they've done some really great things. And just adding in James Madison and Southern Miss and Marshall and Old Dominion is just making our conference a little bit, more secure and really more of a it's settled in to be a pretty dominant kind of group of five conference. So, like you said, man, there's a ton of moving parts. At the end of the day, I just got to keep worrying about what I can control with our roster and where we're at because everything's changing and really like a daily basis right now.
No question. There's some players you have on your roster from Central Texas around Waco. Emmanuel Abdallah, is he still a part of everything? The running back from China Spring?
He is. E-Man is what we call him. He came in last year. He does a great job. A very fascinating kid. He's here. He's a great runner, like a great running back, a talented kid, but he's also a very intelligent kid. He's here really on full ride academically because he's just been raised in a great way. He's a guy that excels on and off the field, man, and I think he's going to end up having a great career for us.
Jake, thank you very much. We appreciate your time. We'll see you in September, but we'll maybe talk to you again between now and then. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, let's do it. You guys are the best. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Jake Spavital, head coach at Texas State. Emmanuel Abdallah, DeMarcus Hayes is from La Vega.
That's the thing is like I'm look at the roster on occasions. I go through rosters to kind of just see where Central Texas guys are, but I don't know if it's still accurate.
Yeah.
Like I really, you know what I mean? Like I don't. It says 2022 roster, but then I got to like instead of just being able to look at a roster and say those guys are on the team, I then have to go double check and make sure. Okay, transfer portal, Emmanuel Abdallah is he's. You know what I mean? It's wild.
And the thing is that could have been true when the roster was updated yesterday. Yeah. But between now and then, if the web guy hasn't gotten to it yet, he's got a stack of other things. Then it might still be there. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's weird because I'm looking. I'm like, oh, there's a guy from Waco. There's a guy from China Spring. But do I ask because I don't know if does that bring up something that like, oh no, he's booted off a week ago or he transferred a week ago. It's like, yeah, you got to do a little extra homework, which is fine, but it's just kind of an interesting observation.
That's why I asked, is he still on?
Yeah, I mean,
because you don't know. It changes so quickly. And as he mentioned, the deadline eventually of May 1st or whatever. So appreciate Jake Spavital. Baylor will play them in September. It's September the 16th. They open up at Nevada, as he mentioned. They have Florida is that right?
Florida International.
Florida
That's
International
what FIU is, yeah.
at home, and then Baylor at home as well. And last year, that was 29-20 down in San Marcos. And it wasn't easy. It was not easy. But like he said, it always seemed like they were a couple of scores away from that game. And Baylor fans were probably going, my God, are we going to win this game? This is a nightmare. But well, coming off 2-7, and then that's your opening game, and you're struggling, yeah, there was a little bit of, like, anxiety. And then, of course, they went on and kick-started and really got on a nice little roll, no question. When we come back, well,